Imagine a world where silent, invisible algorithms decide who gets a job, who qualifies for a loan, who receives quality education, and even who might end up in prison. This isn't the plot of a dystopian novel. It's a reality shaping our lives every day. These algorithms, which many see as impartial tools of progress, often carry hidden biases that deepen social divides and challenge the very fabric of democracy. Welcome to the world of weapons of math destruction, where data and algorithms, once seen as the pinnacle of objective decision-making, are revealed to be powerful tools that, without oversight, can entrench inequality and injustice. Cathy O'Neil, a former data scientist and mathematician, uncovers an unsettling truth. Big data, for all its promises of efficiency and accuracy, can become a weapon when wielded without care. These algorithms, or weapons of math destruction, WMDs, as she calls them, are not the neutral, faultless tools many assume them to be. Rather, they are flawed systems that often serve the interests of the powerful while marginalizing those with fewer resources. In sectors as diverse as criminal justice, education, finance, and employment, WMDs operate unchecked, shaping the lives of millions in ways that are, more often than not, invisible to the very people they impact. Let's consider a striking example from O'Neil's book, The Criminal Justice System. Here, algorithms are often used to assess a defendant's risk of reoffending, impacting crucial decisions on bail, parole, and sentencing. The intent, in theory, is to enhance public safety. But these models, often shrouded in secrecy, factor in elements like zip codes, arrest histories, and income levels, elements deeply intertwined with socioeconomic status. This leads to a feedback loop where individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds are disproportionately labeled as high risk, driving them further into cycles of punishment. This, O'Neil argues, is the essence of a WMD, a high-stakes, self-reinforcing system that operates without accountability. Here, a person's future is determined not by who they are or what they've done, but by flawed data that amplifies historical injustices. The educational system provides another disturbing example. Schools increasingly rely on algorithms to assess teachers and allocate resources. In one case, a teacher in Washington, D.C., was fired based on an algorithm that factored in her students' test scores, despite being widely regarded as an excellent educator. The model, focused solely on numbers, failed to consider the unique challenges of her school and her students' socioeconomic realities. This simplistic approach to complex human systems reduces dedicated professionals to data points and risks undermining education's very purpose. For business owners and strategic thinkers, there's a critical takeaway. Just because an algorithm produces data-driven results doesn't mean those results are accurate, fair, or ethical. We often embrace data-driven tools without questioning their underlying assumptions. Take hiring, for example. Algorithms screening job applicants can streamline recruitment, but they often perpetuate existing biases by screening out candidates who don't fit a narrow profile based on past hiring trends. The effect? Qualified candidates are overlooked, and the business misses out on diverse talent and perspectives. O'Neil urges us to scrutinize any data-driven tools we use and to recognize the limitations and ethical implications of the technology we adopt. This book invites us to challenge some deeply ingrained assumptions. We're often taught to see numbers as facts and equations as impartial truths. But O'Neil's key insight shatters this myth. Algorithms are opinions embedded in code. Every algorithm reflects the beliefs, priorities, and biases of its creators. These algorithms are not neutral arbiters. They carry the values and flaws of the humans who design them. To fully engage with O'Neil's message, we must unlearn the idea of the algorithm as an infallible judge. Instead, we must understand it as a tool that mirrors human judgment, as biased or fair as the society it represents. There's another myth O'Neil debunks, that algorithms are inherently transparent or explainable. Most people assume that if a machine makes a decision, it can be easily explained. But WMDs often operate in what O'Neil calls a black box. The criteria these models use are hidden from public scrutiny, and individuals affected by them have little or no recourse. If a credit algorithm denies you a loan, for example, you typically have no way to challenge it, nor any insight into the data points that inform the decision. This lack of transparency isn't just a minor inconvenience, it undermines democracy itself. When our lives are increasingly shaped by systems we cannot understand, question, or appeal, we're left powerless, mere subjects under the rule of inscrutable digital monarchs. Reflecting on this brings us to a crucial realization. Embracing big data's potential doesn't mean abandoning critical thought. In fact, the more we rely on data, the more necessary it becomes to scrutinize it. O'Neil calls for a kind of Hippocratic oath for data scientists, an ethical commitment to use data responsibly and to first do no harm. This call to accountability highlights a profound shift in our understanding of technology. We must wield it not just with skill, but with compassion. Each algorithm represents a series of moral choices, and we must ask ourselves, what happens if this algorithm is wrong? How will it affect those without the power to challenge it? If we can ask and answer these questions, we can transform algorithms from WMDs into instruments of social progress. This call resonates deeply for business owners, educators, and anyone responsible for making data-driven decisions. In an age where the push for efficiency often eclipses ethical considerations, O'Neil's message is clear. The integrity of our decisions relies on more than just data. It relies on transparency, empathy, and accountability. By viewing algorithms as fallible and understanding their limitations, we can make more ethical decisions, ones that respect the dignity of every individual affected. As we take this knowledge forward, there's a fundamental question for each of us. What might we need to unlearn to truly understand the power and pitfalls of big data? It starts with shedding the belief in data's inherent neutrality and recognizing the human fingerprints behind every model. And perhaps it's also about questioning our own passivity, no longer seeing ourselves as mere recipients of data's influence, but as active participants in its development and regulation. What's next for anyone who reads this book? Armed with O'Neil's insights, we are empowered to rethink the role algorithms play in our lives. This isn't just about understanding big data. It's about recognizing that we have the agency to demand transparency and accountability from the systems that shape our world. No longer passive players, we can begin to question data-driven decisions, push for ethical standards, and advocate for a fairer, more just society where technology reflects our highest values, rather than amplifying our deepest flaws. This awareness is transformative. It shifts our perspective, allowing us to see data not as an impartial force, but as a tool that requires careful handling. Instead of being passive recipients of technology's influence, we must become active participants, shaping the digital world to reflect fairness, empathy, and justice. As you navigate this new understanding, consider the algorithms that impact your daily life, whether in social media feeds, credit scores, or job applications. How might your sense of fairness and opportunity shift as you engage with these systems more critically? Ask questions, demand transparency. And for those who can, push for change within the institutions that develop these tools. By becoming conscious of the invisible forces shaping our world, we contribute to a future where data serves humanity rather than subjugating it. Perhaps, in doing so, we don't just improve our own lives, but help build a society where technology serves the common good, rather than dividing us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about the growing role of algorithms in your life? What steps might you take to engage with these forces thoughtfully? Share your reflections with us below, and as you go forth, remember to think critically, engage actively, and above all, keep books over mind.